Imagine standing at the altar on your wedding day, the happiest, most important moment of your life. You're surrounded by friends, music, laughter, and the person you love more than anything. But then you glance over at the row reserved for your family, your mom, your dad, your siblings, and every single chair is empty. Not one of them came. Not even your parents. That was my wedding day. My name is Ethan, and this is a story of how I ended up getting married without a single member of my family there to witness it. Before beginning, please subscribe my channel and like the video. My name's Ethan, and before I tell you this story, I want to make something clear. Family means everything to me. Or at least it used to. I grew up thinking blood was thicker than water, that no matter what happened, your family would be there for you. But on the most important day of my life, the day I married the love of my life, my family, every single one of them, was nowhere to be found. Not my parents, not my siblings, not even my cousins who used to be like brothers and sisters to me. And this is the story of how I got there. I still remember waking up that morning like it was yesterday. I was in a little Airbnb cabin we'd rented in the mountains for the wedding weekend. It was early, around 6 a.m., and the world outside was quiet. The sun hadn't fully risen yet, but this faint golden light spilled into the wooden blinds, painting the room in a soft glow. I could hear the forest outside, the wind brushing through the pine trees, a bird somewhere in the distance, calling out like it was announcing the day. Inside, it smelled like wood smoke from the fireplace we'd left burning low overnight. I sat on the edge of the bed for a while, just breathing. My suit hung on the door, pressed and ready. My shoes were shined, lined up perfectly on the rug. Everything was ready. Everything except for the part of me that still held on to this tiny shred of hope that my parents and family would walk through the doors later that day. Let me rewind a little. I grew up in a very traditional family. My parents were strict, religious, and stubborn, I guess is the best word. They wanted me to follow the life they pictured for me. Go to college for business, marry someone from the same cultural background, have kids, and live in the same town we grew up in. But life doesn't work like that. When I met Emily, my wife, everything changed. She was different from the kind of person my parents imagined for me. She wasn't from our culture. She wasn't from our faith. And the second my family found out I was serious about her, it was like I had set off a bomb in the middle of our household. At first, it was small comments. Are you sure about her? She doesn't really understand our traditions. What about the future of the family? But as things got more serious between Emily and me, the comments turned into arguments, and the arguments turned into ultimatums. I remember one night, sitting in the living room with my parents. The lights were dim, just a lamp on, casting this yellow glow across their faces. My mom was twisting her hands in her lap, and my dad was staring at me like he was trying to burn holes into my soul. Dad said, "Ethan, if you marry her, you'll be choosing her over us." And I just remember staring at him, feeling my throat tighten. Dad, I'm not choosing anyone over anyone. I love her, and I want both. I want her and my family. But he shook his head slowly, almost like he'd already decided. That's not possible. You can't have both. That sentence haunted me. For months. When Emily and I got engaged, I thought maybe things would soften. Maybe the reality of it would make them realize how much she meant to me. But instead, the silence grew. Calls went unanswered. Messages left on read. Family dinners I wasn't invited to anymore. My siblings stopped talking to me. 2. My older brother said I was selfish. My sister said I was breaking Mom's heart. Even my cousins, who I grew up sharing secrets and video games with, pulled away like I was some kind of stranger. It was like I had been erased from the family portrait. When we started planning the wedding, Emily asked me gently one night, "Do you think they'll come?" We were sitting on the couch, wedding magazines spread out across the coffee table, candles flickering softly. I remember the way her voice cracked when she asked. And I lied. I smiled and said, "Yeah, they'll come." But inside I knew, deep down I knew they wouldn't. Still, I clung to hope. I mailed out the invitations with shaky hands, writing out my parents' names in neat cursive, sealing the envelope and praying. Fast forward to the wedding day. Guests started arriving at the little outdoor venue we'd chosen. A clearing in the woods, strung with fairy lights, chairs lined up facing an arch covered in flowers. It was beautiful, exactly how Emily had dreamed it. But as the seats filled with her friends, co-workers, distant relatives, the row we'd reserved for my family stayed empty. I kept glancing at it, my stomach in knots. Every time a car pulled up, my heart would leap. Maybe that's them. Maybe they changed their minds. But every time, it wasn't. By the time the ceremony started, that row was still completely empty, and it felt like a spotlight was shining right on it, burning into me. As Emily walked down the aisle, radiant and smiling, I tried to focus on her. I tried to drown in her beauty, her joy. But behind my smile, my chest felt hollow. I thought to myself, asterisk, how could they do this? How could they not even come? Asterisk. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to walk out and call them, beg them one last time. But instead, I stood there, took her hands, and whispered, "You look perfect." The ceremony ended, and people clapped and cheered. We kissed, and for a moment, the world was perfect. But it wasn't until later that night, during the reception, that something happened I'll never forget. An older woman I didn't recognize came up to me. She was a friend of Emily's aunt, I think. She had this kind smile, and she said to me, "You know, I lost my family when I married my husband too. They never forgave me. But let me tell you something. Son, the family you choose, the one you build with her, will mean more than anything you left behind." Her words hit me like a punch to the chest. And for the first time that day, I let myself cry. Right there, in front of the stranger. By the end of the night, as we danced under the string lights, I realized something. My family may have abandoned me. They may have chosen pride over love. But in front of me, laughing and celebrating, was a new family. Emily, her parents, who hugged me like their own son. Our friends who cheered us on. That was family. That was love. And though the pain of that empty row will probably never fully go away, it taught me something. Sometimes, the family you're born into isn't the family you're meant to have. It's been years now since that day. My parents still haven't spoken to me. They've never met their grandchildren. Sometimes I still dream about them showing up, ringing the doorbell, saying they're sorry. But until then, I hold on to the words of that stranger at my wedding. The family you build is stronger than the one that breaks you. And I believe that with all my heart.